Hi everyone, my name is Drashti Ved and I'm a PT reading expert and PT trainer here at English Wise. In this video, I'm going to give you a basic grammar cheat sheet. So in this cheat sheet, I'm going to cover with you around 30 to 35 rules that can be directly applied in your PT reading exam. Whether it be your drop down blanks or your drag and drop blanks, if you memorize these 30 to 35 rules and apply them correctly, you will be all set for your PTE reading exam. So let us get into the video and let us get to know about these basic grammar rules which you can use as a cheat sheet or like a template for your reading module. So let us have a look at these rules over here. So rule number 1 tells you that after a, an or the there will always be a noun. After a, an or the there will always be a noun. So if you have watched the previous grammar videos, you know by now what is a noun, what is verb, what is adjective and adverb. So if you have not watched that video, I encourage you guys to go and watch that video first so you have your basics and then you can understand and apply these rules quickly rather than getting confused with them. So what I'm telling here is that after a, an or the, if you have a blank in the exam, that blank is always going to be filled with a noun. For example, a book is kept on the table and the economy is booming for the country. Okay. So over here you see after the words a and the there is always a noun. You can't put an adjective or an adverb or a verb straight away. You always have to put a noun after them. Next thing is after a or an there is always a singular noun. So after a or an we always put a singular noun. Now what do we mean by singular noun? I will just mention it once. So singular noun means something which is one in quantity. That means this thing exists only one in quantity. For example, if I say boy, that means I'm talking about only one boy. I'm only talking about a boy which is singular, that is one in quantity. When I talk about the opposite, that is plural nouns means more than one in quantity. More than one in quantity. So that is what is called as plural nouns. Let's take an example of plural nouns. Boys. So whenever you add s at the end, whenever you add s at the end of a word, that word becomes a plural noun. Okay. So what I'm going to say is after a or an, we always have singular nouns. For example, the basket contains an apple. You will always say the basket contains an apple. That means there is only one apple in the basket. You can't say the basket contains an apples. That's wrong English. It's only an apple. Again, a device is launched by the company this year. A device is launched by the company this year. A device, that means only one device is launched by the company this year. You can't say a devices. That doesn't make sense. Next thing is after an, you always have a singular vowel noun. You always have a singular vowel noun after an. Singular vowel noun after an. Now what are vowel nouns? Vowel nouns are the words that start with the sound of A, E, I, O and U. They start with the sounds of A, E, I, O and U. For example, apple. Apple starts with an A. It also starts with the sound of A. So this is a vowel sound noun. That means this sound starts with the sounds of letter A, E, I or U. Example, let's say honest or honesty. Okay. Again, this word is also starting with a vowel sound because the H over here is silent. This H over here is silent. Okay. And the actual word starts from the sound of letter O. So it starts like honesty. That's why this is also a vowel noun sound. Okay. Let's have a look at some examples. Please keep an hour to prepare for the before the meeting. So again, you see, hour starts with H, but H is silent and the first sound comes of the letter O. So we always put an before hour. Again over here, I need an honest opinion from you for the presentation. That means I need an honest opinion from you for the presentation. That means what kind of an opinion? Honest opinion from you is required. Again, after and you put a sound with O. After this or that, you always put a singular noun. Again, as I said, singular nouns are nouns which means that something is one in quantity. So after this or that, you will always put a singular noun. This year we will go for Antarctic exploration. Okay, so this year, that means this particular year we are going for Antarctic exploration. You will not say this year. Okay, that book is important for the exam. Okay, again, I'm only referring to one book over here. I'm not saying that books, because that's wrong grammar. After this or that, you always put singular noun, that is one in quantity. Next thing, after these or those, you always put plural nouns. So after these or those, you are always supposed to put plural nouns. That means now you will put sounds with S sound at the end. So these students were selected for the final round of the tournament. That means I'm referring to a bunch of students. I'm not just saying that one or two students. I'm referring to, like, I'm not just referring to one student. I'm referring to more than one student. So I will say these students were selected for the final round of the tournament. Again, after that, those chairs are to be set up in the main hall. Okay, again, those chairs. I'm not referring to just one particular chair. Many chairs. That means those chairs are supposed to be set up in the main hall. So these were the first 5 rules. I hope you guys are making notes along with this because it's very important. Trust me, you guys have to memorize this cheat sheet, like eat this cheat sheet up, okay? You are not supposed to miss anything out of this cheat sheet because it will help you the most in your exam. Whenever you are stuck, you can go back and refer that, okay, I'm stuck, but I see that there is the word this in front of me. Now I have to go and look for something which will fit over there and then answer accordingly. So moving forward, this is another set of rules for nouns. So after apostrophe S, there will always be a noun. After apostrophe S, there is always being a noun. So let's look at some example. The country's economy. So you see over here, countries. It is not like plural more than one country. It is like the belonging of a country. Whenever you put apostrophe S, you show possession. That means something belongs to someone else. Possession means something belongs to someone else, and it is represented by apostrophe S in English. So after apostrophe S, you always put a noun. The country's economy is disrupted due to the corrupt officers. We need to reach Jacob's house by 6 p.m. Jacob's house by 6 p.m. Now over here, the house represents Jacob's, or a house belongs to Jacob. So over here we will say Jacob's house, apostrophe S, Jacob's house. After possessive pronouns, there will always be a noun. So after possessive pronouns, there will always be a noun. Now you will ask me, ma'am, what are possessive pronouns? Possessive pronouns are words like his, her, their, our, my, your. These are all possessive pronouns. His, her, their, our, my, your, its. They are all possessive pronouns. Okay. So after a possessive pronoun, again we always put a noun. Please contact our receptionist. So you see over here, our is a possessive pronoun, and after that we always have to put a noun. So please contact our receptionist for further details of this offer. Your grades will be disclosed after the final week of the semester. Your grade, that means these grades belong to you. It's your possession. Your is a possessive pronoun. So your grades will be disclosed after the final week of the semester. Next thing, this is what we've learned previously as well. Between the and of, you always put a noun. Between the and of, you always put a noun. For example, the satellite images of this topographical surface are pictures. Please submit the assignment of the subject before the due date. So you see over here in both the cases, I'm giving you a noun between the and of. Between the and of, there is always a noun. There's nothing else. Okay. Now, when you guys look at the first example over here, the satellite images, okay, that means I'm not telling that satellite is an adjective and images is the noun. This is not a way of looking at it. There is something called as a noun phrase. There is something called as a noun phrase in English, and words like satellite images, strategy classes, these are all examples of what we call as noun phrase. Because in these things, like let's say for example, strategy classes. If I take the example strategy classes, now in this phrase, strategy is also a noun. Strategy classes, in this phrase, strategy is also a noun and classes is also a noun. So both of them are nouns over here. Okay. That is why this whole thing, when it comes together, is called as a noun phrase. Okay, so we need to be mindful of these type of answers as well. Sometimes if you are given a noun, you might need to complete it with a noun phrase instead of putting an adjective or anything. Okay, but again, we should be knowing about this and our other basic rules as well. Next thing, after each and every there will always be a singular noun. After each and every you always put a singular noun. So after examples will be like every student must participate in the quiz. I am referring to each and every student, so I will just say every student must participate in the quiz. I am not saying students, every students, that's wrong English. Every student. Same way, deliver each box to the correct address. Deliver each box to the correct address. Over here as well, a box is singular. So whatever I am mentioning is like after every and each you always put a singular noun. After each one or each of the or one of the, there will always be a plural noun. After each of the or one of the, you always put a plural noun in both the cases. Okay, you always put a plural noun in both the cases, each of the and one of the. For example, each of the boxes need to be stored in cool rooms. Each of the boxes, I'm not just saying each of the box, each of the boxes, that means there are too many boxes and I'm talking about every single one of them. Each of the boxes need to be stored in the cool rooms. One of the students has been granted the scholarship. That means out of lot of students, only one has been granted the scholarship. That's why we always say one of the students, one of the boxes, one of the actors, and so on and so forth. So we always have plural nouns in this scenario. Next thing, after all of the, you always have a plural noun. So all of the players performed well. I don't just say all of the player. All of the players. There are more than one player. So all of the players performed well. This is how you give your answers. Moving forward, let us have a look at the next set of rules. So far we covered the rules of nouns. Now let us move on and cover the rule of verbs. So rule number 12 tells you that after 2 there will always V1 or the base form of verb. After 2 we always put V1 or the base form of verb. Now I'm pretty sure that if you have watched the previous video, you know what is V1, V2 and V3. So V1 is the present form of verb, V2 is the past form of verb, and V3 is the past participle form of verb. V3 is the past participle form of verb. If I have to give you examples in these three, it will go something like this. V1 will be sing, V2 will be sang. So V1, as I said, will be sing, V2 will be sang, and V3 will be sung. So it will be like sing, sang, sung, drink, drank, drunk, cut, 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 play, played, played, like that. So your V1 is present tense, V2 is past tense, and V3 is past participle tense. Okay. She decided to pursue a career in medicine despite the challenges. So decided to pursue. You don't say pursued or pursuing anything like that. After to, you always put V1 form of verb. To pursue. I would love to travel the world and experience different cultures. Again, after to, you always put V1 form of verb, you don't put anything else there. Then after modals, you always again put V1 form of verb. Now what are modals? Modals are words like must, can, could, shall, should, may, might. So can, could, shall, should, may, might, will, and would. So these are the common modals that you guys use in PTE, which is must, can, could, shall, should, may, might, will, would. There are other modals as well, but these are the most common ones. So after modals, you also put V1 form of verb. You should speak to your manager if you are feeling overwhelmed by your tasks. So you should speak to your manager. So you always put V1. You don't say you should spoke or spoken, you should speak. He might join us later at the restaurant if he finishes his work on time. So he might join us later. Again, you don't say might joining or might joined, you just say might join. Okay. Now this is where we have to learn two things. Now active passive also comes in the scenario. After is and are was were, there will always be VING or what we call as gerund if the sentence is in active voice. If the sentence is in active voice, then there will always be is am are. After is am are was were, there will be VING or a gerund sound. She is preparing a delicious three-course meal. They are planning a surprise party. Okay, so you see over here, after is am are was were, if there is active voice, you always put V1 or gerund form of verb. Again, after is am are was were, you will be putting V3 if there is passive voice. So now if the story is in passive voice and you have same is am are was were, after that you will be putting V3. That means the report was completed by the intern before the team meeting began. The invitations were sent out a week before. Okay, so this is how you will be saying it in passive voice. You fill it with V3 or the ED form of verb. You don't fill it with VING over there. For active voice, you only fill it with VING. Moving forward, let's move ahead and see the next one. So again, after be or been, there will always be VING. After be or been, there will again be VING if the sentence is in active voice. So if the sentence is in active voice, you will be having VING after be or been. For example, they have been working on the group project since early morning. So they have been working. This is an active voice sentence. So that's why we will say they have been working. If the sentence is to be written with be, it will be like we might be traveling to New Zealand during the winter break if everything goes well. So we might be traveling. Okay. Over here you see after been or be, based on active voice, you will be having VING after that. Same thing after be or been, there will be V3 if the sentence is in passive voice. After be or been, it will be V3 if the sentence is in passive voice. For example, all the documents have been printed. So the documents have been printed. This is passive voice, so it takes V3. Same way, the medicine should be taken twice a day after the meals for best results. Okay, again, medicine should be taken twice a day. So again, it's V3 over there. Okay. Moving forward, after has, have or had, there will always be V3. So after has, have or had, you always put V3 over there. Always put V3 over there. There is no active passive over here. Only if been, BEEN is written after have, then only we consider the possibility of active or passive voice. Otherwise, if it is just has, have, had, you put V3 always. So they have visited the Eiffel Tower multiple times. He had forgotten to lock the door. So you see, in both the cases, I am putting the V3 or the third form of verb. Next thing, before by, you always put V3. So before by, you always put V3 over there. For example, the beautiful painting was created by a famous artist. All the decorations were arranged by the event management team. So before by, you always put V3 form. Okay. Now this is coming because of the passive voice rule. That means in passive voice, we always have a by over there. Like so and so was done by so and so person. So this rule is coming from the passive voice sentence formation. If you are unsure of what is active passive voice, I really recommend you guys to go and watch the second grammar videos. There I have explained in depth about active passive voice. But so far I want you guys to remember that before we by, we always have V3. Next thing, after it, which, that or this. In these cases, after it, which, that or this, you will always put the plural verb. That means you will be putting V1 plus the S or ES sound of it. Now the only thing is you use this rule only if verb is required. You use this rule only if verb is required. If you identify that in your sentence a noun is required, let's say as I told you, after this you also put a singular noun, right? So if you feel a noun is required, that means in that case you will only go and look for a singular noun. But if you see that a verb is required, so as I said, after this, if you need a noun, you will always go with a singular noun. But if a verb is required, then it always has to be verb plus V1 plus the S or ES sound. So V1 plus the S or ES sound. So this is how it works. For example, I love the song which makes me feel nostalgic. So you see, after which we are not putting which make me feel over there, which makes me feel. Okay. It looks like it might rain later today. It looks like. Okay, you don't just say it look like or it looking like. It looks like. S sound is required there. Alright, now moving forward, let us learn the other rules. So rule number 21 tells you that after by there will be VING if a verb is required. So let's say if in a sentence the word by is written by, and after that you see a space and you realize that in this blank you need a verb, then in that case your verb will always be VING verb. It will always be VING verb. Okay, so after by, what happens is after by you can have nouns as well, but in case if you need a verb, then it is explicitly and 100% going to be the ing verb. For example, he improved his health by exercising regularly and eating well. How did he do it? By exercising. I don't say by exercise or by exercised, by exercising. Same way the problem was solved by thinking outside the box. So by thinking outside the box, you don't say by thought or by think, you just say by thinking. Next thing, after for, if you need a verb, it will be VING. Okay. After for, there will be VING if you require a verb there. Thank you for helping me with my homework. She was praised for volunteering at the shelter every weekend. So you see over here also after for every time we are putting ing verb because that is the requirement of English. But only in the case where you require a verb. Let's say if you require a noun, you don't need to think about it like that. Then you put nouns in that case. Same way after while also there will be VING if verb is required. While watching the movie, I fell asleep on the couch. His leg he injured his leg while playing football last weekend. So you see, in both of these cases, after while I'm putting ing because I need a verb over there. Next thing, after of there will be VING again if verb is required. She is afraid of speaking in public. I am tired of waiting for the bus in the rain. Like that. So in this case also after of we are putting ing. Now next thing is after do, does or did you will always put V1. After do, does or did you always put V1. I do understand your concern, but we need to follow the protocol. She did call you earlier, but you didn't answer. You see over here, you never say I didn't called. Okay, a lot of times when we are normally speaking, we just go like, she didn't thought this. Okay, she didn't call me, or she didn't called me, like that. But that's wrong English. After do does this, you always put V1 form of verb. You always put V1 form of verb. V1 form of verb. Okay. Moving forward, now let us have some rules of adjectives as well. So after an adjective, there will always be a noun. After an adjective, there is always going to be a noun because that is how English works. Okay, as we know that adjectives are the descriptions of nouns. That is why we always put adjective before the noun. Like if I say that she's a girl, what kind of a girl she is? She's a good girl. So that's how the adjective goes before the noun. She gave me some useful advice before the interview. So you see what kind of advice it was? Useful advice. It was an exciting journey for full of surprises. What kind of journey it was? Exciting journey. So you always put the adjective before the noun. So now the next thing is after a and the adjective there will always be a noun. So basically how this rule works is if you have a, an or the. So if you have a, an or the in front of you, then you have a space or you have your blank, and then you have a noun. Okay, so you have a and the blank noun. So in this kind of a formation, it will always be an adjective in the blank. There will always be an adjective in the blank. Okay, she adopted a small kitten. So you see a small kitten. So over here, a is the article, kitten is your noun. Now, what kind of a kitten was it? It was a small kitten, so that adjective takes the place over there. Okay. He gave me an honest opinion about my project. What kind of an opinion? Honest opinion. So that is how it fills up the space here. Now, after comparative adjective, there will be than. Okay. Now, a lot of you will have a question like, ma'am, what are comparative adjectives? So there are three kinds of adjectives. Let me show you over here. Okay. So there are three kinds of adjectives. The one is your normal adjective, which you call as the positive adjective. Then you have something called as comparative adjective. And lastly, you have something called as superlative adjective. So you have three kinds of adjectives. One is your positive adjective, next one is your comparative adjective, and the last one is your superlative adjective. Now there's a simple difference. You always have spoken about this. So like if I say small, it's normal, small. But if I want to compare that, okay, I have this thing and I have this thing, and I want to say that this one is smaller than this one, or this one is more small than this one, then in that case I use comparative adjectives. That means they are comparing the description of two pieces there. So I will say smaller. Okay. And I want to say that there are a bunch of things and one of them is the most small or the smallest in them, then I will say superlative adjective, smallest, like that. Okay, same way if I want to say that something is clever, something is clever. Okay, someone is clever and I want to say the other person is more clever, so I will say more clever. Okay, you don't say cleverer. That is no English. You don't say cleverer. Okay. So there are some words like beautiful. You don't say beautifuler. Okay, you just put more in front of it. More clever, more beautiful, like that. Same way over here for your superlative adjectives. If I want to say that some person is the most clever, then I will say most clever in that case. So your comparative adjectives are basically the adjectives that end with er, or the ones which have more plus adjective, more plus adjective formation. smaller, more clever, and these are the kind of adjectives that will take than after them. Than, than. Than, not then than. The then is used for time. Your than is used for comparisons. So you will say like the laptop is faster than the one I used before. Her idea was more creative than anyone else's in the group. So this is how you will use your comparative adjectives and than together. Next thing, after much or far, there will be comparative adjectives. So again, after much or far, you will put comparative adjectives. For example, this version is much better than the previous one. So much better, much better. Okay. The hotel was far cleaner than I expected. Far cleaner than I expected. You don't say far cleanest or far clean. Far cleaner. Like that. And if you would have noticed, you always have than before, after them. Okay. Moving forward. After the, you always have a superlative adjective. Okay. After the, you will be having a superlative adjective. Or rather, I will explain you first what is a superlative adjective. So as I showed you guys in the previous slide over here, I think it's not there. Oh, it's there. Okay. So as I showed you guys in the previous slide over here, superlative adjectives are the ones which have est formation, est at the end, or they have most plus the adjective. Most plus the adjective in their formation. Those are called the superlative adjectives. So as I said over here, the will be followed by superlative adjective. Now why this rule is important? Like I have also taught you guys that the can be used for number of things. Okay, you also have the plus noun, you have the plus plain adjectives. Like if I say the small kitten, this is also right English. The small kitten, this is also right English. But and if I say the smallest kitten, this is also right English. The smallest kitten, this is also right English. Okay. So where do we use this particular rule? What happens is, let's say suppose if you have a blank. Okay, you guys have a blank over there and you know that this blank needs an adjective. You know that this blank needs an adjective. And your options could be like, let's say, smaller, smallest, if you have two options. Okay, if you have two options, smaller or smallest. Okay. In that case, you need to see, okay, if there is no the given over here, okay, if the is given over here, then you will always go with smallest, the smallest, okay. But let's say if there is no the given here, okay, there is no the given here, then you can't put smallest over here. Then if you take smallest as your answer, that's gonna be wrong, okay, because where is the? There is no the over here, okay. So the thing is that the plus the superlative adjective, they always make a pair. Superlative adjectives can't come without the. You can't say a smallest kitten, the smallest kitten. This is always how we say it. Okay. So if the is not given, you can't put a superlative adjective. So this is how you use this rule. Okay. So same way, she is the smartest student in our class. That was the most exciting movie I have seen this year. Okay. So this is how you use them in the examples. Moving forward, rule number 31 tells you that before adjective, if you have a blank, that will always be reserved for an adverb. Before adjective, if we have a blank, that blank is reserved for the adverb. For example, she gave a remarkably honest answer during the interview. What kind of an honest answer was it? Remarkably honest. So if you have a blank before the adjective, you will always fill it up with an adverb. Next thing, it was really difficult decision for him to make. It was a really difficult decision for him to make. So how much difficult was it? Really difficult, like that. Next thing, after to or very, you always put adjectives. This soup is too hot to eat right now. The dress was very elegant and fit her perfectly. So this is how you will be using your adjectives. Okay, moving forward, let us look at rule number 33, which tells us that after if there will be subject plus verb, that is a sentence structure. So after if you always have a subject plus verb. For example, if you study well you will pass the exam easily. So if you study well then only you are able to pass the exam easily. So I can't say if study pass, this is like wrong English. If I just say if study pass, this is wrong English. You have to mention the proper thing. If you study, then you will pass, like that. So you should always have subject plus verb. That means a sentence structure, not just only a verb or only a noun over there. If she calls, tell her I am not home. If she calls, so make sure it is a subject plus verb scenario. Next thing, rule number 34. This is a very important rule, guys. There is a rule with and or, which says that before and after and, before and after or, you will always have same type of words. You will always have same type of words. Okay. How is this possible? Okay, so for example, if we have an adjective before and, we will also have adjective after and. Okay, V1 before or, V2, V1 after or as well. If it is ing, it will be ing here as well. If it is V3, it will be V3 here as well. So this is a very important rule, guys. Rule 34 and rule 35, because they will help you to understand what is supposed to go where. Next thing, now there is something called as countable nouns and something called as uncountable nouns. So countable nouns are something that we can count on fingers. Anything that you can count on your fingers is called countable nouns. So for example, let's talk about number of pens. Can you count the number of pens that are there in your hand? You can go 1, 2, 3, 4, like that. But can you count the number of hair on your head? No. Can you count the number of water in a tank? No. You can't do that. You can't go like 1 water, 2 water, 3 water. You can't do that. So uncountable nouns are ones that you cannot count on fingers. Uncountable nouns are the ones that you cannot count on your fingers. Okay. So now based on whether the noun is countable or not, you will be using different kind of words. So countable nouns take words like many, few, or few and less. Many students are running late today. A few trains are delayed because of the rains, like that. Because these are the things that you can count. You can count the number of students, you can count the number of trains. Okay, uncountable nouns take words like more, much, little, and low. Okay. Can you give me some more water? So this is how you say it. Can you give me some more water? You don't say, can you give me some more students? That's like wrong English. Or you don't say, can you give me many water? That is also wrong English. Okay. Uh, she's she is having little confidence or low confidence. This is how you say it. You don't say she's having few confidence, because confidence is not something you can count on fingers. It's something that is uncountable. So you say few, so you say little or low with that. Next thing is positive sentences, they take some, negative sentences take any. So if there's a positive sentence, you will be writing it with some. Like, I have some money left. So this is a positive sentence. I have some money left. That means it is a positive sentence over here. Okay. If I want to give it in a negative way, I will say I don't have any money left. I don't have any money left. So you see at one place it is positive. That means this is a positive sentence. I use some. I don't say I have any money left. I say I have some money left. Same way over here, if you it is a negative sentence, you say any. You don't say I don't have some money left. I don't have any money left. So this is how again you can use this in your exams. Now let us do some blanks and see how we are supposed to answer it. So this is a blank over here. Let's try and answer it with the basic grammar cheat sheet rules. Does history really dash itself? So you see the very first thing over here is does, which tells me that this blank will have a V1 over here. So let us see which all words have V1. So 1, 2, issues, no, all over, no, chronological doesn't make sense, cover, sequence is a noun, so I can't use this one. Achieved, no, gaining, repeat. So repeat becomes my first answer over here. Okay. So does history really repeat itself? So you see, this is how it makes you quicker, because you know that does will go with V1. So you don't try of thinking of every other option. You just go for one option, which is V1. That is your present form of verb or your base form of verb, and you answer that one as your answer. Or we can or can we learn from the mistakes of those who came before us? History provides a dash statistical and cultural record of the events, peoples and movements that have made an impact on a humankind and the world at large. Dash the ages. So now over here you see there is a given, okay? There is a blank after a, and we are based on our and or rule. So if you remember the rule which goes like before and after and, or before and after or, you always put the same kind of things. Same way over here, statistical, cultural, all of these tell you that you will be having an adjective in this place. So let's look at something now. Again, as I said, the rule tells me that it is going to be the same type of word. So you see everything is ending with al over here. So I'll also go with another word which ends with al. So chronological is going to be my second answer. Then we have people and movements that have made an impact on humankind and the world at large. Dash the ages. Okay. Now, one thing that we always know is whenever you're talking about time period, or you're talking from something from start to the end, you use the word throughout. Okay. I need to cover the room with carpet throughout the floor. That means from start of the floor to the end of the floor. The same way, whenever something is covered from the start of the time to the end of that time, that means it uses throughout. So throughout is my third answer over here. This particular blank over here is based on preposition, the one which we put throughout as the answer. It is a preposition based blank. I have made a separate video on prepositions and connectors. Again, prepositions and connectors turn around about 20 to 30% of your reading paper. So I want you guys to go and watch those video afterwards, so you can get an understanding of prepositions and connectors as well. Next thing, investigating the causes and results of past events is critically important in dash a full understanding and perspective of present day dash. In Okay, now after in there is a grammar rule which tells me that there can be ing. If you guys want to make a note of this rule in your basic grammar cheat sheet, you can do that. So after in, you do use verbs which end in ing. I don't put this in my basic grammar cheat sheet because it is a slightly advanced rule of grammar, because after in you have lots of things over there. After in you can have different kinds of words. It's not like a very straightforward rule. It is a rule where you have to consider some different factors. That is why it's not a basic grammar cheat sheet rule. It is like a little advanced rule that we should be knowing about before we go for our exam, because based on the type of sentence structure, you will decide what comes after in. And in this one, we need a verb over there. So we will go imported in gaining. So gaining is my fourth answer over here. A full understanding and perspective of present day. So now present day over here is used as an adjective. So you are trying to tell present day world, present day this, present day that. So perspective of present day dash. Okay, so present day is an adjective. That means I need a noun over here. So because we've learned that adjectives are always coming before nouns through our basic grammar cheat sheet. Now let us look at the nouns which are given to us. So it is either issues or sequence. These are the only two nouns that we have. So one thing that I know is that we only put singular nouns. So we put singular nouns when we have a or an given. We put singular nouns when we have a or an given to us. But over here, a or an is not given. That means we can go with a plural noun. So that is why issues is going to be my last and final answer over there. So this is how you're supposed to do your use your basic grammar cheat sheet to find out your answers quickly so that you're not going wrong as well and you are having better accuracy with better time management. Let's do one more question and have a look. Meditation is the dash of focusing attention, often formalized into a dash routine. Now we always know that between the and of you always put a noun. Between the and of we always put a noun. So let's see, is the system of focusing attention, I wouldn't say meditation is like a systematic order, but I can definitely say it is a practice because it's something that we practice. We don't have a system of meditation, but we always have a practice of meditation. So first answer is practice, often formalized into a dash routine. Now o is given and routine is a noun by itself. So routine is a noun by itself. That means you need an adjective. Based on your basic grammar cheat sheet, you need an adjective in between these two words. So let's look at adjective. So it can be either unique, specific, or personal. Okay, these are the three adjectives given to us. So which often formalize into a dash routine. If you're not sure which answer you want to put, so but at least we know that these are the three answers possible over here. So let's do one thing. Let's keep moving ahead and see what other information they have given to us to finalize the answer out of these three options. Meditation is usually dash as a component of Eastern religions or originating in Vedic Hinduism, but is also developed independently in Sufism. So usually composition. So if is given over here, we know that we will either go with VING if it is active voice, or we will go with V3 if it is passive voice. Now, based on this sentence over here, and if you have looked at the previous video, which is about active passive voice and tenses, we know that this is a passive voice sentence because the object of this sentence or whatever identity which is receiving the action is meditation and it is given before the blank. That is why it is a passive sentence. And passive sentences always take V3 as their answer. So we are left with V3 over here. So that's the third answer over here. So this is how we will decide that. But it also developed in Sufism. Meditation can also be used for dash development in a non-religious context, such as exercises of Hatha Yoga. So again, development is a noun. Okay, and you need so you need an adjective over here. Now over here you see in this last sentence it becomes a little more personal. It is not talking about particular things. Okay, it is literally mentioning that non-religious context. That means it is personal. So that is why personal is going to be my fourth answer over there. And now since personal has been used, I'm only left with specific or unique. So often formalized into a dash routine. Now we know over here that I can't say I won't say a unique routine. It was right grammar to put a unique because it starts with the sound of Y. It starts with y, unique. It does not start with the sound of A, E, I, O, U. So it is right grammar if I put a unique routine. But the thing is, it's not like something different. Unique is like it is different than everybody else. Over here, you are talking about a formalized pattern. So either it can be formalized for a person, that means personal, but personal is something we've already used for the last blank. So we are left with specific as our second answer. So this is how you will be solving it in your drag and drop blanks. Okay, now let's try doing some of our drop down blanks. So Milton's fame and dash derive chiefly from Paradise Lost, which when first published in 1667 did not dash wide admiration. So over here fame is a noun, So again, I need another noun over here. Let's look at nouns over here. Okay, celebrate is an verb. Famous is an adjective. Magnificent is an adjective. So I'm left with the answer reputation. So I don't have to think much. Reputation is a noun. I'll be putting it as my answer. Again, did is given over here. So I know that I need V1 over here. Let's see what all words have V1. It is accept or gain. Okay, so with the basic grammar cheat sheets, you can quicken up your time by eliminating the wrong options in front of you. That is how you also improve your accuracy, because if you are going to compare with four options, you are likely to have more confusion and more mistakes. But when you come down to two options, it is only this or that, and which improves your accuracy. Now I can't use achieved or perceived because they are not V1 or the present form of verb. I'm left with accept or gain. Now, admiration is not something is like accept or decline situation. It's like being a fan of someone. So it's like gaining popularity or gaining acceptance. So gain is my answer there. Because of Milton's political and regional views, only his close friends and associates commended his epic. Marvell, who assisted Milton when he was Latin secretary during the interregnum, expressed extraordinary admiration of Paradise Lost in Verses at the outset of 1674 edition. John Dryden, after dash with Milton and elicited his approval, adapted the epic to heroic couplets, the measure that characterized much verse in that era. Okay. After, so again over here, after and with. So we have after and with. What I would say is we need something with ing over here. Okay. Again, if you guys want to make a note of this, this is also a very good rule to be make a note of. After or before. After or before will be followed by VING at times. Okay. After or before will be followed by VING verbs. Okay. Now again, this is not a very basic rule because we need to put certain things into consideration before selecting that. The sentence structure should be matching what we are trying to give over there. But if it is a verb, what I would say, if it's a verb, at most of the times it is ing. Okay. So we have either having consulted or consulting over here. But you see, the whole passage here is in past tense. We are talking about dates from 1666, 1674. So we are in the past tense over here. If we are in the past tense, we can't use having because having is a present tense. Okay. So this is also my wrong option. And I'm finally left with the answer D. Okay. The result was the state of innocence and fall of man, an operatic adaptation published in 1677, dash never performed. Okay. Now over here, I cannot put while. So see, this your basic grammar cheat sheet also helps you to eliminate the wrong options. If I want while, then it should be performing. If you know this rule, after while verbs go with ing. So it should be performing to put while. That means while is not my correct answer. Still never performed. Still it will be like, we are still like waiting for it to be performed. Okay. So that doesn't make sense. Already, if it was never performed, how could it be already then? It doesn't make sense. Okay. So we are left with the answer though. Okay. Again, this is how we do it right now, because we right now at this point, if you guys are watching this video, I assume that you have not known about prepositions and connectors. But once you watch the video after this, that is your next video of reading rules, you will be learning about prepositions and connectors, and with the information of connectors you can solve this blank within one single rule. But I have explained that rules and the way of identifying prepositions and connectors and their correct answers very well in the next video. So I want you guys to watch that video to answer those blanks correctly. Next thing, at the end of the 17th century, admiration of Paradise Lost extended dash a small circle. Lost extended dash a small circle. Again, the small circle is like a boundary, and we are saying that it was extended. That means it is going outside the boundary. So it is always beyond. Again, this information also comes from our understanding of preps and connectors, prepositions and connectors. So I really encourage you guys. You see over here itself, we have so many blanks that are based on prepositions and connectors, because in your PTE exam, it will never be like, okay, one blank is particularly based on one topic. It will be mix of everything. That is why I encourage you guys, learn everything and go. These are all your templates of reading module. If you learn your templates, and you are definitely going to get good marks there. Okay, moving forward, let's do one more question and see how it works. The take-home the take-home message here is that our brains actively absorb the regularities in our cultural dash. So again, your cultural is adjective, so we need a noun over here. In our cultural, I would say cultural beliefs is the right answer, because we normally have cultural beliefs, cultural methods, backgrounds, and environments. Backgrounds is right, but regularities in our cultural backgrounds doesn't make sense. It will be more like beliefs. The representations created in the brain in turn dash how we interact with and shape our own environments. In turn, okay, created in the brain in turn. So you see over here it is representations. This is your subject verb agreement. If you've watched the previous two videos, you know how subject verb agreement works. So if this is a plural noun, you need a singular verb. That means a verb without the S sound over here, which is either influence or create. You can't create interactions, but you can always influence interactions. So we are left with influence as our answer. Culture impacts the way in which the brain is wired and dash. So you see wired, ed, and again you need ed over here. Brain is wired and activated. So this is how you get the word answer, activated. But the brain is malleable, much like the changing tide can erode a footprint in the sand. So too can changed experience over time reshape these brain activations. In this sense, the brain can dash as a cultural sponge of sorts, absorbing the regularities of our surrounding physical and social environments. So we also have another rule which tells that after be it will be VING or V3 based on active or passive. So over here, when I put brain can see, as a brain can't see a cultural sponge. Okay, what we are referring is that people refer brain, or people see brain as a cultural sponge. So it is a passive voice sentence, and that is why I will go with be seen in my answer. It's a passive voice sentence, and that is why I'll go with be seen in my answer. So this is how you will finalize your answers. Always make sure you are very attentive when solving these blanks. So that is it for this video. It is a very important cheat sheet. It's your basic template of reading. I want you to memorize this well and try answering this in your blanks so you can see how to work with it. If you have not watched the previous videos of basic knowledge of grammar, the basic fundamentals of grammar, and the active passive voice and tenses video, please make sure you watch that so you can have a better understanding of your grammar and how to do your blanks. Additionally, I also want you to watch your videos on prepositions and connectors so you can understand how to solve questions based on those questions and those topics. And I also want you to watch a video separately made for your contextual understanding and what all things we need to understand in the context. And lastly, I want you to watch the video for reorders, especially if you're aiming for superior or proficient scores, because reorders are going to be a very important part of your scores over there. That is it from my side in this video. My name is Drashti Ved. I'm a PT reading expert here at English Wise, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you.